The arrival of the alien armies. The sky above Earth darkened as the alien warships entered the atmosphere, their massive shapes cutting through the clouds like great shadows. Each ship was a symbol of power, its surface shimmering with unknown technology that hummed and vibrated as it descended. The first ship broke through the clouds with a deafening roar, followed by the other vessels, creating a fearsome parade of destruction. The aliens had arrived, and their intentions were clear. The people of Earth could only watch, frozen in shock, as the ships landed one by one. Below, on the surface of the planet, people stood in awe. Children clung to their parents, their eyes wide with a mix of fear and curiosity. Soldiers scrambled to organize, their commands barely audible over the sound of the ship's landing. No one knew what to expect. Were they here to conquer, to invade, or perhaps to negotiate? But with each passing second, it seemed less likely that any peaceful resolution was on the horizon. As the alien ships finally touched down, a massive rumble shook the ground. The earth seemed to tremble beneath their feet, and dust clouds swirled into the air. The alien warriors emerged from their ships, tall and menacing, clad in armor that gleamed like polished metal. Their suits were built for battle, sleek and designed to withstand any attack. Their helmets were angular and imposing, with glowing red eyes that scanned the surroundings, taking in the human forces with cold detachment. The humans stood at the ready, but there was no denying the overwhelming sense of helplessness. These aliens had technology beyond anything Earth had ever seen. Their ships, their weapons, and their armor were all designed for war. The humans were outmatched in every way, their weapons barely a match for the aliens' advanced tech. Yet the humans remained resolute. They knew that survival would require more than just strength. It would take courage, creativity, and the will to fight for their home. Among the soldiers, Captain Alina Grant stood tall. She had been in many battles before, but this was unlike anything she had ever faced. She looked up at the towering alien figures, her mind racing with thoughts of what might come next. The aliens had not spoken, but their silence was deafening. It was as if they were waiting for the humans to make the first move, to show their fear or their willingness to surrender. But Alina was determined. She would not let fear control her actions. The alien commander, a towering figure dressed in silver armor, stepped forward, his presence commanding the attention of everyone around him. His voice, when he spoke, was deep and resonant, carrying an authority that left no room for doubt. "Humans," he began, his tone cold and emotionless, "we are here to assess your planet. We have come for your resources. Your survival depends on how you respond." Alina felt her pulse quicken, but she kept her expression neutral. This was the moment of truth. This was where the fate of Earth would be decided. The aliens were here not for peace, but for conquest. And she knew that the humans would have to fight, not just to defend themselves, but to prove that they were not to be underestimated. "We will not surrender," Alina said, her voice steady and strong. "We will protect our world with everything we have." The alien commander regarded her with a cold stare, as though considering her words. Then, without a hint of emotion, he gave a signal, and the alien warriors began to move. They spread out in perfect formation, their weapons already raised and ready to strike. Alina knew that the time for words was over. The battle had begun. The first shots rang out, the sound of alien weaponry filling the air. The humans returned fire, but their weapons were no match for the alien technology. It didn't matter. They had fought worse battles before, and they would fight again. Alina's mind raced as she ordered her troops to engage. The aliens had the power, but the humans had something far more dangerous: their will to survive. Despite the advanced weapons of the alien forces, the humans fought with a ferocity that the invaders did not expect. The aliens were quick to react, but they were not prepared for the unpredictability of human tactics. Humans fought with heart, with courage, and with a resourcefulness that could not be measured by technology. They adapted quickly, finding ways to use the terrain to their advantage, staying out of the aliens' line of fire, and using their environment to strike when least expected. Alina watched as the humans pressed forward, determined not to give in to fear. Their weapons might not be as advanced, but their spirit was undeniable. It was clear to her now that the aliens had underestimated humanity. They might have the technology, but the humans had something that could not be measured, a strength that came from the heart, not from machines. The battle raged on, the clash of weapons echoing across the battlefield. But as the minutes passed, something began to change. The aliens, with all their power, began to show signs of hesitation. Their movements grew less confident, their attacks less coordinated. It was as if they had realized that the humans were not going to crumble easily. And for the first time, the aliens began to wonder, had they made a mistake? Alina stood tall, her eyes fixed on the alien forces. There was no going back now. The fight for Earth had begun, and she would give everything to ensure that the humans would not be defeated. No matter how advanced the enemy, no matter how strong their armor, they would not break her resolve. The battle for humanity's survival had only just begun. The sky above Earth was filled with the distant sound of crackling energy weapons and explosions. The alien ships stood like towering monuments of power, their sleek, gleaming surfaces reflecting the chaos below. The humans had not backed down. Instead, they had engaged in a battle they had no chance of winning by conventional means. But it was clear this was not about technology. This was about something more, something that made the humans who they were, their fierce, unyielding spirit. Captain Alina Grant surveyed the battlefield from the top of a ruined building, her eyes scanning the alien ranks. Her fingers gripped the edge of her binoculars, her heart pounding with adrenaline. The ground trembled beneath her feet as the alien soldiers advanced, their movements fluid and synchronized. But there was something different in the air. Something had shifted. She could see it in the way the alien forces moved. There was a hesitation now, a slight uncertainty that hadn't been there before. The humans, despite being outclassed in every possible way, were not retreating. Instead, they fought back with a tenacity that was impossible to ignore. Alina could see them using every resource at their disposal, guerrilla tactics, improvised weapons, and sheer determination to stand against the invaders. They weren't just defending Earth. They were fighting for their right to exist. Captain Grant. A voice crackled in her earpiece. It was Sergeant Harris, one of her most trusted officers. "We got a problem. The alien force is more organized than we expected. Their infantry's taking ground fast." Alina's mind raced as she listened. She had known this was coming. The aliens had superior technology, but their overconfidence was their biggest weakness. The humans were not relying on weapons alone. They were relying on the one thing the aliens didn't understand: human creativity. "I need every team to fall back into the old subway tunnels," Alina ordered, her voice calm but commanding. "We'll turn the city into a maze they can't navigate. Let's make it our battleground, not theirs." As the orders were relayed through the ranks, the humans began to retreat, but not in the way the aliens expected. They moved in quick, calculated maneuvers, luring the aliens into the heart of the city. The aliens had no idea what was coming. They believed the humans would scatter in fear, but the opposite was true. The humans were pulling them into the narrow, twisting passages beneath the city, where the alien advantage in firepower would be neutralized. Alina's plan was simple: fight smart, not hard. The aliens' heavy armor and advanced weaponry made them formidable in open spaces, but the dense, confined environment of the city's underground would be a different challenge entirely. The humans knew these streets and tunnels. They knew how to use their surroundings to create ambushes, traps, and shortcuts that would level the playing field. In the streets above, the alien forces pushed forward, believing they were gaining the upper hand. But beneath the city, the humans were waiting. The first alien squad that entered the tunnels was met with a deadly silence. It didn't take long before the first shots rang out, a sharp, sudden crack in the stillness of the underground. The alien soldiers, not expecting such a fast response, hesitated just for a moment. long enough for the humans to strike. The soldiers had no time to react before they were hit by a barrage of improvised explosives, grenades, and laser fire. The alien squad faltered, struggling to adjust to the tight, winding corridors that limited their movements. They were trained for open combat, not the close quarters of an urban war zone. The humans, however, thrived in these conditions. They attacked from hidden positions, striking quickly and then retreating before the aliens could fire back. Alina watched from a nearby rooftop as the battle played out in the streets below. She could see the confusion growing among the alien ranks. Their heavy armor, while nearly impenetrable, was not enough to protect them from the guerrilla tactics of the humans. With every alien that fell, the humans grew bolder. They were no longer fighting with fear, but with a newfound confidence that came from knowing they could win, if they played it right. The alien commander, watching from his ship, was growing frustrated. He could see that his forces were being picked apart, one squad at a time. The humans were far more resourceful than they had expected. The battle was no longer about technology, it was about strategy. The commander's voice boomed over the comm system, giving his forces new orders. We need to push forward. The humans may be resourceful, but they cannot outlast us. But Alina knew better. The humans weren't trying to outlast the aliens. They were trying to outsmart them. They were playing the long game, slowly wearing down the alien forces with every move. They knew that the aliens had to rely on their technology, but the humans had something the aliens didn't: their ability to think on their feet, to adapt, and to use their environment in ways that the aliens simply could not. As the battle raged on, Alina could see the alien forces beginning to lose their composure. The humans had turned the tables, and now it was the aliens who were on the defensive. The heavy armor that the aliens had relied on for protection was beginning to fail them. In the close quarters of the underground, the armor couldn't protect them from the humans' relentless attacks. The aliens' weapons, once powerful, were now struggling to hit their targets as they fought in the shadows. Alina smiled, her confidence growing. This was just the beginning. The humans might be outmatched, but they were not out of the fight. As long as they had their minds, their courage, and their will to survive, they would keep pushing forward. And the aliens? They had just learned the hard way that underestimating the humans was their greatest mistake. The battle was far from over, but with each passing minute, the humans were proving something the aliens had never expected. In a battle of brains and heart, humanity was a force to be reckoned with. The battle above had taken a heavy toll on the alien forces, but it was only the beginning. The humans, ever resourceful, had a weapon that no alien army had prepared for: their ability to adapt. In the tunnels, amid the ruins of cities and the remnants of human civilization, the fight was no longer about technology or firepower. It was about strategy, cunning, and most importantly, heart. Captain Alina Grant stood in a shadowed alcove, watching the battle unfold through a cracked viewport. She could hear the sounds of her soldiers in the distance, the quiet hum of their makeshift weapons, and the occasional crack of a blast reverberating off the steel walls. They were moving quickly, their bodies constantly shifting between cover, making it impossible for the alien soldiers to get a clear shot. "What are they doing?" Sergeant Harris asked, his voice tinged with confusion. He had seen the humans turn the tide of battle before, but this was different. The aliens were not retreating, but they were acting hesitant, like they weren't sure what was going on. "We're not just fighting their armies anymore," Alina replied quietly. "We're fighting their pride." The aliens had expected the humans to buckle under pressure. They had expected the humans to run, to hide, or to simply fall apart when faced with overwhelming force. But the humans were doing the opposite. Instead of surrendering, they were showing a kind of resilience that the aliens couldn't understand. They had turned their own territory into a weapon, using the underground city's maze of tunnels to wear the aliens down. In one of the tunnels, a group of human soldiers had rigged a series of explosive charges along the walls. The alien soldiers, unable to understand the layout of the city, walked right into the trap. The explosives went off in a massive burst of fire, sending debris flying in all directions. But it wasn't just the explosives that made the difference. It was the knowledge of the terrain. The humans knew every turn, every hidden passageway, and every crumbling wall. They used it to their advantage, drawing the aliens into traps and making them pay for their missteps. "They've underestimated us," Alina said, her voice steady. "They thought we were weak, but now they see what we can do when we fight for our home." The alien forces were disoriented. They had expected a clean, easy conquest. What they found instead was a battlefield where they had to fight for every inch of ground. The aliens had their advanced weapons, their sophisticated armor, and their superior technology, but the humans had something far more dangerous: determination. Above, the alien mothership hovered, its towering form casting a long shadow over the broken city. The alien commander, who had watched his forces struggle for hours, was beginning to lose his patience. He barked orders into his comms, his voice tight with frustration. "All units, push forward," he commanded. "The humans may be resilient, but they cannot hold out forever. We have the resources to overwhelm them. We are the superior force." The aliens had one thing in abundance: firepower. They called in reinforcements, and the sky above Earth began to rain down more ships, each one carrying enough weaponry to level entire cities. But Alina was not concerned. She knew they had only one chance to turn the tide, and that chance was coming. "All squads, prepare to execute Plan Echo," Alina said into her comms. "We've got them exactly where we want them." The plan was bold, and it would require every ounce of the humans' bravery and ingenuity. They had already drawn the alien forces deep into the city, into the trap that they had been setting for days. Now it was time to finish it. Under the cover of darkness, the human forces moved into position. They used the city's narrow streets and hidden passages to move undetected, positioning explosives on key points throughout the aliens' lines. This time, it wouldn't just be about the humans using their environment to their advantage. They had something else in mind, a final strike that would shake the aliens to their core. Captain Grant stood before a small device that hummed with energy, her face grim. It was a makeshift EMP bomb, human-made, crude, and powerful. It wasn't just designed to take out alien technology. It was designed to take out their pride. The EMP would disable the alien ships in orbit and disrupt their communication, throwing them into disarray. But the plan was risky. They couldn't afford to fail. "Once this goes off, we'll have only minutes before the aliens regain control," Alina said to Harris. "We need to be ready to move fast, or this will all be for nothing." The countdown began. The humans had already set up their traps, rigged their weapons, and positioned themselves in place. Alina took one last look at the battlefield. The alien forces had pushed deeper into the city, thinking they were on the verge of victory. They didn't know what was coming. In the moments that followed, everything seemed to move in slow motion. The EMP bomb detonated with a flash of blinding light, and the shockwave rippled through the alien motherships. For the first time since the battle had begun, the aliens faltered. Their advanced technology, so carefully crafted and relied upon, began to fail. Ships lost power. Communication lines went silent. The aliens, once confident in their superiority, were now completely disoriented. The human soldiers didn't hesitate. With the alien forces struggling to regain control, the humans surged forward. They fought with a fire that had been ignited by desperation and hope. They knew this might be their only chance. They knew that if they didn't act now, Earth would fall. As the humans pushed forward, their hearts beat in unison, fueled by the knowledge that they had something the aliens didn't: the unbreakable spirit of humanity. The battle for Earth was far from over, but now, for the first time, the humans were the ones in control. The aliens had underestimated them, and now they were paying the price. The tide had turned, and the humans were ready for whatever came next. The battle was far from over, but the humans had already made their mark. The alien forces, once confident in their overwhelming strength, were beginning to falter. The EMP blast had done its job, disrupting their technology and communication. But the true power of humanity lay not just in their technology or their clever tactics. It was in their unyielding resolve. The aliens had underestimated the spirit of the human soldiers. They thought that after losing their cities, their homes, the humans would be broken. Instead, the survivors had found a new strength in their unity and survival instinct. Captain Alina Grant stood at the front of a makeshift command post, looking over the maps that now dotted the walls. The alien forces, though disorganized, were still formidable. Their warships were disabled for the moment, but they had other means of attack. And even more worrying, they still outnumbered the humans, with reinforcements pouring in from the far reaches of the galaxy. Alina adjusted the comm device on her wrist, bringing her team into a quick strategy meeting. We've bought ourselves some time, but we can't waste it. The aliens will regroup soon enough. When they do, they'll be coming at us harder than before. We need to move fast. Sergeant Harris, who had been a part of every skirmish in the past few days, nodded gravely. So what's the next move, Captain? If we don't push back now, it'll all be for nothing. Alina's eyes flickered to the schematics on the wall. The city was still standing in most parts, but it had become a maze of collapsed buildings and crumbling infrastructure. The alien ships above were powerless for the time being, but their soldiers had already begun to regroup on the ground. The humans were running out of supplies and time. We'll use the city's underground networks, she said with determination. We know these tunnels better than they do. It's time we turn the tables on them for good. The underground labyrinth had once been a part of human civilization, places of commerce, industry, and movement, but now they had become the perfect battleground for a desperate counterattack. The aliens, unfamiliar with these spaces, were vulnerable to the humans' knowledge of their own home. Let's move out. We'll hit them in their weak spots, surprise them while they're still disorganized, Alina said. The plan was risky. The tunnels were claustrophobic, dark, and full of traps that the humans had carefully laid to slow down the advancing alien forces. The plan was to leave the aliens deeper into the maze, where the humans could close off escape routes, trapping them in a deadly crossfire. It was a calculated risk, but one that the humans had no choice but to take. As Alina and her team moved through the underground passages, the weight of the situation settled in. The pressure was immense. If this went wrong, the human forces would be wiped out. But if it succeeded, they would have dealt a blow so powerful that the alien forces would never forget it. Outside, the alien soldiers were advancing, their heavy boots pounding the cracked earth of Earth's ruined cities. They had lost control of the skies, but they still had the power to overwhelm with sheer numbers. Each step they took towards the heart of the city brought them closer to the final confrontation. They were confident, as only those who have never been defeated can be. Inside the tunnels, however, the atmosphere was tense. The human soldiers moved quietly, their footsteps light against the concrete floors, knowing that any noise could give them away. Alina's voice echoed in the comms, sharp and commanding. We're in position. Wait for my signal. As they got closer to the alien positions, Alina could hear the soft hum of alien technology, the faint clicks and whirs of their machines, barely audible in the dark. The humans had managed to place explosives in strategic areas, set to detonate once the aliens passed by. The trap was nearly set. They had drawn the enemy in, and now it was time to spring it. Now, Alina shouted over the comms. The first explosion rang through the tunnel like thunder, its shockwave rattling the walls and sending dust and debris flying. The force was enough to knock some of the aliens off their feet, their armor clanging as they struggled to regain balance. The human soldiers wasted no time. They surged forward, taking advantage of the confusion. Guns fired in the dark, the sharp crack of weapons cutting through the air. The alien soldiers, disoriented and under heavy fire, scrambled to react. But they were too slow. The humans, using the tunnels as their advantage, moved like shadows, silent and fast, striking from multiple angles. The aliens had expected to face a full-scale assault in open battlefields. They were unprepared for the guerrilla tactics that the humans had mastered. The second wave of explosions followed quickly, disrupting the alien lines even further. Some of their soldiers tried to retreat, but they were met with more traps, further explosions, and hidden weapons that shot from concealed positions. The aliens found themselves caught in a deadly web of their own making. Their own confidence had led them here, to the brink of disaster. In the middle of the chaos, Alina was everywhere at once. She moved between the human squads, ensuring that the plan was going according to schedule. The aliens' surprise was evident, but so was their frustration. They had underestimated humanity, and now they were paying for it. "Push forward," Alina ordered. "Keep the pressure on. They won't have much time before their backup arrives." With every alien soldier that fell, the humans grew bolder. The lines of fire became more intense, the explosions more frequent. The fight in the tunnels was brutal, but it was a fight the humans were determined to win. They had no choice. The battle had shifted in the humans' favor, but the true test was yet to come. The aliens had not given up, and with their reinforcements coming, the humans knew that this was their final chance to push back before they lost everything. The real war was only just beginning. As the tunnels beneath Earth's crumbling cities grew darker with each passing moment, so did the mood among the human forces. Alina Grant and her soldiers had pushed the alien invaders back, but their victory had been short-lived. The explosions and ambushes had taken their toll on the aliens, but they weren't done yet. Reinforcements were on the way. The alien ships had begun to power up again, their weapons systems coming online, and their ground troops regrouping. They had been rattled, but they were far from defeated. Alina stood at the head of a narrow tunnel, sweat glistening on her forehead as she checked her weapons. Her fingers were steady, but her mind was racing. They had done everything right so far. Every trap had worked as planned. Every ambush had hit its mark. Yet the sheer number of aliens, their armor, and their superior technology made it clear that this fight wasn't over. "This is it," she muttered under her breath. "If we don't finish this now, we're done for." Sergeant Harris, standing by her side, looked grim but determined. "We can't stop now, Captain. We've come too far." The walls around them trembled, the rumble of alien machinery growing louder. The next wave of invaders was getting close, and this time, there would be no more traps, no more surprises. It was going to be a straight-up fight. The humans had used up their resources, their ammo was running low, and their explosives were nearly gone. They had nothing left but their courage, and that, Alina knew, could be the thing that tipped the scales. They reached the last stronghold, the heart of their city's underground resistance. The human forces were running on empty, both in supplies and energy. The soldiers had fought hard, but fatigue was evident in their eyes. Still, they kept their heads high. They had no choice. Earth wasn't just a battlefield anymore. It was home, and they were ready to defend it to the very end. "Move out," Alina commanded, her voice steady despite the fear gnawing at her insides. The soldiers gathered around her, preparing for what was to come. They had no illusions about the difficulty of the next few hours. They were outgunned, outmanned, and out of time. The alien forces came into view just as the humans took their positions. Tall, imposing figures in heavy armor, their faces hidden behind faceless helmets, they marched forward in perfect unison. Their weapons gleamed ominously in the dim light of the tunnels. The sounds of their movement echoed through the subterranean labyrinth, a chilling reminder of the odds stacked against the humans. But Alina didn't flinch. She couldn't. Not now. The first shots were fired. The humans' guns cracked through the air, a symphony of resistance. The alien soldiers were heavily armored, but they weren't invincible. They had the advantage in technology and firepower, but the humans had one thing they lacked: unpredictability. They weren't following any kind of pattern, weren't fighting like any enemy the aliens had faced before. The humans used the tunnels like their own, darting in and out of narrow passageways, using the environment to their advantage. Every shot was calculated, every movement made to confuse and overwhelm the aliens. The battle was fierce and fast. The humans pressed forward, refusing to back down. Alina moved among them like a beacon, her voice cutting through the chaos as she directed fire, commanded the troops, and encouraged them. She could see the alien soldiers trying to adapt, trying to form a strategy against the humans' guerrilla tactics. But it was too late for them. The humans had already made their mark. For a few minutes, the sounds of gunfire and explosions filled the air, and for a moment, it seemed as though the humans might just win. But the aliens weren't going to give up that easily. They regrouped quickly, their superior numbers starting to overwhelm the humans. For every alien soldier that fell, 2 more took their place. The humans were being pushed back. "We can't hold them off much longer," Harris shouted, firing his weapon into the advancing line of aliens. Alina's mind raced. There had to be another way. Something they were missing. And then it hit her. "Flank them," she ordered. "We push them into the narrow passage ahead. If we can trap them there, we can take them out in one sweep." The soldiers nodded, and the plan went into action. It was a risky move, but the only one they had left. They would need to cut through the alien lines and create a bottleneck that would force the invaders into a narrow space where the humans could hit them from all sides. The battle intensified as the humans moved with precision, their forces splitting to create the trap. The aliens were caught off guard, their lines faltering as they tried to reorient. The humans, now firing from multiple angles, caused chaos among the invaders. The aliens' heavy armor protected them against direct hits, but it also slowed them down, making them easy targets when they were out of position. As the last of the alien soldiers began to retreat, Alina couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope. They weren't finished yet. The humans had forced the aliens to retreat, but they knew this wasn't the end. More reinforcements were coming, and the battle would soon resume. But for now, there was a brief moment of respite. The humans had done the impossible. They had held their ground, and in doing so, had shown the invaders what humans were truly capable of. As the dust settled and the echoes of battle faded, Alina looked around at her weary, battle-hardened soldiers. Their faces were bloodied, their uniforms torn, but their eyes were filled with determination. The war wasn't over. But this fight had proven something important. The aliens had underestimated humanity. And that was a mistake they would never make again.